Hey guys, a little bit tired, but I'm gonna do a movie review for Strange Darling. So, first time I watched this movie, I say first time, I've only watched it one time, but um, I watched it with my friend, and I honestly wasn't too sure what to expect. I kind of got a Violent Nature vibes from it. For those of you that don't know, a Violent Nature is another movie that came out. It's a bit of an indie. It is an indie horror film, pretty indie. Basically about this. I think it's related to demonic ritual stuff like that. And so when I first saw the trailer for this, while I was watching another movie, it kind of gave me those kind of vibes. Now, I missed A Violent Nature. I wanted to watch that movie, but I haven't gotten the chance to. Um, and so I decided I'm gonna go watch this one because I do like A24 films generally. I've only ever seen one that I didn't really like, which was Lamb. But this one, I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. It seemed kind of intense. It seemed like it would be kind of intense, a bit realistic, maybe a little bit hard to watch at times. Just judging from the like cinematography in the trailer, the kind of vibe, the coloring of it. Um, but yeah, I decided to watch the movie high. I smoked a joint before it. It's one of my favorite hobbies to do, actually. I really like watching movies, and then I also really like watching them high at times. I think I've kind of grown out of it a little bit, but I decided, for old time's sake, I would do it. And so, sorry about the camera shaking, but I watched it with my friend, and I went into it. I like the beginning. I like the setup of it. When you actually go into the movie, it starts off with this little script. And all you're doing is just reading that script. It's like a red background, black text. It basically talks about the serial killer, the Electric Lady. And so for me, when the movie starts out, I thought, also one thing that the movie does is that talks about it says the words true story. It's based off the true story of the Electric Lady. So I thought that made it more interesting. The thing is, though, it's not actually based off a true story. I don't know why they said that. I think they said that to make it more enticing. Yada yada yada. I guess it's a true story in the fictional world. But yeah. Yeah. The movie starts off with basically this girl getting chased down by this guy, and you see the guy come out of the car with his gun, and he basically tries to shoot her. She eventually, you see that she's already had an injury to her ear. She's bleeding. She's clearly really distressed. And basically, the guy shoots her. He doesn't hit her. But she ends up crashing her car onto the side, and she's just running away essentially. And you think the guy's the serial killer essentially. She's running. She eventually finds this house in this completely empty field. You don't get a shot of her. You don't get the shot is framed in a way to make it seem like she might get caught running in this field, because you don't see what's behind her. You only see her back running to the house. And it's a really empty field. And but yeah, eventually she reaches that house, and she's very distressed. She's knocking on the door, and these people open it, and they have, they're clearly very suspicious of her, and she just, pleads with them, "Can you help me?" And then it just cuts off there, from what I remember. And then it goes into, the movie is split into chapters that are not in order. Now, the movie does this really well. If it had done these chapters in order, this movie would not have been good. So what it does is it starts off at chapter 3, and then it goes to chapter 6, and then it goes to chapter 1, and then it goes to chapter 4. It does that really well. It used it really well. But if it had done it in order, this movie would not have worked at all. It would not have been an entertaining movie in my eyes. The mystery, it wasn't the mystery. It was just the piecing it all together, and finding new bits of information from these incongruent chapters. I thought was really, really well done. The scenes with her in the car with the guy were really well done. And it plays on you so well. I'm gonna give you a little bit of a spoiler here, but the guy is actually not the serial killer in the story, which is funny because the electric lady. I didn't piece it together when I read that little text or script in the beginning. The serial killer's name is the electric lady. But when the movie starts off, it does a really good job at making you seem like the guy is the villain in the story, but it's not. It's the girl. And so when you're in that car, you don't know this yet. But when you're in the car, the girl's in the car. She's at this motel. The lighting is, they had an interesting choice with the cinematography here and the lighting, which I think paid off in the end of that car conversation, but I was kind of iffy on it when it first started, just because I thought it didn't fit well. It felt almost like surreal, almost kind of like a video game a little bit. But yeah, so they're in that car, and she's talking about how dangerous it is for women to be doing something like this. The lady, she talks about how much of a risk it is for her to even be in a car with a guy, and how women, they would love casual sex, or a lot of women love casual sex. They just don't feel safe around men. And she does this thing where she's like, you think the guy is a serial killer, so you think all the mannerisms that the guy is doing. The movie plays on this really well, because even the guy did a really good job acting. He wasn't a serial killer. The actor did a really good job at portraying somebody who's pretending, but you as an audience member don't know he's actually not pretending. He did a good job of making it kind of seem like he was putting on a facade a little bit. And the lady, she just bluntly asks him so I gotta ask you jokingly, are you a serial killer? And the guy looks at her, and you think you as the audience think he's the serial killer. She's like, oh, he's clearly just lying. He's doing his best to make it seem that he's just laughing it off. It's just a funny joke to him. But yeah, eventually they end up going into the motel. Then it skips to another chapter. Comes back to the motel, and you find out that essentially that she had talked to him about some things that she wanted him to do to her. And it's basically it's extreme BDSM stuff. It's not softcore. It's pretty heavy BDSM stuff. And she basically told him she had a rape fantasy. And so when she would say no, it wouldn't actually mean no. They had a safe word that they would use. And essentially that's when you start to figure out that things are not the way they seem. Okay, so this girl might actually be the villain of the story. You're not entirely sure just yet. Again, the movie does a really good job at making you seem like the girl might not be the villain in the story. And yeah, you start to realize she's a little unstable, just from her reactions. When she uses the safe word, she's not actually using it as a safe word as the safe word is meant to be. She basically starts crying after using the safe word, but as a joke. And then she's like, you did amazing. That was amazing. I loved it. I just needed to stop and tell you how great you were doing. And then maybe just take a little bit of a break. And then when it comes to the guy almost having sex with her, she kind of just pushes it off a little bit. She's like, so soon already? Do you not want to play? Blah, blah, blah. And then eventually she's like, hey, do you want to do cocaine or do you want to do coke? And she's like, oh, it'll make me really horny. And the guy, he's like, I haven't touched that stuff in so long. And you actually find out he's a cop later, which is interesting because, cops done cocaine. In my eyes, that job's supposed to be there's supposed to be a lot of integrity behind it. Not that doing cocaine doesn't remove your integrity or anything. He even says in the story that he hasn't touched that stuff in a really long time. But I thought that was an interesting thing. And yeah, so basically what happens is you see what she's doing. The guy doesn't see it, but she's basically taking out two separate drug vials, one bag of cocaine and then one vial of ketamine. She takes the cocaine and she secretly gives him the ketamine. And, she goes into the bathroom and, I think the cinematography here was done really well in the bathroom. The lighting, her kind of like amping herself up for what she's about to do. And the girl did a really good job at acting. She did such an insanely good job. She played the way she turned on. Sorry, that's my cat. The way she switched on that psychopath behavior was so good. This this demented serial killer psychopath. She played that so well, and she switched it on so well. And when you realize as an audience member, oh, she's actually the main antagonist, it makes you wonder, like, holy crap, she played that character of innocence, and yeah, just innocence, and I don't know the word for it, but she just played this, she put on that mask of normalcy so well. Where she's like the unsafe one, where she's the one in danger, where she's the one clearly distressed, which, I mean, she was. She's getting chased down by a guy with a gun, but her acting was genuinely so good. It was amazing. Just because of how well she played both sides so well. And they were both incredibly believable. Like, I want to really emphasize how well she played a demented psychopath, where she finds where it's sadistic as well, where she finds enjoyment in the thing she's doing. And then I thought there were bits of her character that were really interesting and charming. I know that's kind of controversial to say about a psychopath, but it was like genuinely, there's some charming moments there, where that family's house that she goes to, the family itself is a bit demented too. Like, you get I don't know the director's or the story writer's purpose for this, but you see beforehand how weird they are before she actually gets to their house, or before she actually gets inside the house. They're making this insanely weird breakfast. Like, it's actually incredibly weird. It's like eggs, pancakes, all in one plate, all pushed together into like a sandwich. It's like eggs, pancakes, berries, peanut butter jam, syrup, whipped cream. It's incredibly weird. It's like other stuff too. That's a little bit. And she walks in, she's so distressed. She's like, and she sees like parts of the breakfast. They ate the whole fucking plate almost. And she's like, when the girl comes in and she's like, hey, like, I'm really tired, I need something to eat, can I please eat this? She eats this without flinching at all. And I was like, okay. I thought, I thought the director would make a little bit of a comedic scene where she spits out the food, realizing how disgusting it was. But no. But back to what I was going to say about the family, the husband and the wife. I don't know what the director's choice for this was. But you see beforehand, they are just staring at each other, just laughing. They're not even saying anything. It's almost like they're communicating in their eyes. But it's not in this romantic way that I'm telling you. It's actually really demented. Like, it's so strange. It makes you really uncomfortable, and you can tell these people are weird. And yeah, I wasn't really sure where the director was going with that. But yeah, and the movie goes forward, and eventually, the girl she encounters the police, and again she plays that human character very well. She's able to turn that switch off, that psychopath switch off, and just go to her human facade or mask. And the girl, she has a soft side for women. I'm not sure if it's like a genuine empathetic side. It seemed like it. I mean, obviously, you can't really have a sadistic psychopath like that with that much empathy towards women. Um, I don't know. It's probably sort of like a philosophy or morality thing with not morality thing with her, but yeah, she'll be like, "Hey, lady, like I know I just like she like after just killing her own husband or after killing this lady's husband, she's like, hey, lady, like I really don't want to make your day any worse. Like I won't kill you. Just please tell me like what is the quickest way to tie you up, and then I'll just leave you be." She even lets eventually the cops figure out it's her, but she has them at gunpoint. They can't do anything. And so she ends up letting the lady go because the lady defended her when they initially found her. The lady's like, clearly this woman's in distress. We need to get her an ambulance. What are you doing? Why are you questioning this lady? And so because of that, the lady lets her go. And she ends up killing the male cop. And I thought that was a really interesting moment. I wasn't sure what the point of this was, but when the male cop, before he dies, the killer asks him, "Why did you do this?" Or the cop asked her, "Why do you do this?" And she's like, "Sometimes I just see demons in people." And he's staring at her through the rear mirror, and then suddenly she comes to this look of realization. And I think she sees a demon in him. It's not very clear. And then you just hear a gunshot go off. And yeah, the movie eventually ends around that time. Thought it was interesting. Again, she plays that the main villain in the story plays that character so well. And yeah, the way she's able to turn that switch off, and you could tell this character is finding this fun. She sees this thing as a game. It was really well done. I enjoyed a lot of that movie, mainly for that actor's performance. And then that motel car scene that they had, I thought that was really well done. The cinematography there, I think, paid off in the end. But yeah, I think I give this movie a lot of praise, but I wouldn't rate it too highly. It took a while to pick up, honestly. I think it started picking up when you started piecing things together a little bit, or when things started to piece together a little bit. But it didn't really captivate me. I don't know what it was missing, but it wasn't a bad movie at all. But it wasn't great. If I had to give a rating on it, I'd probably say 3.5 out of 5. I've seen better. I like Maxine. I wouldn't necessarily call that a horror movie, but I really loved Maxine. I thought it was such an interesting and fun movie. But yeah, I don't know. But I think I'll end it there. Yeah, that's my review.